Ladies and gentlemen, let us start with our afternoon session. The first presentation is from Risto Mäeots, who is at the moment Chief Operating Officer at Magnetic MRO Tallinn. He has also worked as workshop engineer, workshop manager, and director planning and support at Air Maintenance Estonia. Risto is our academy graduate. So Risto, the floor is yours.
Hello everybody, dear audience. So I know it's after lunchtime, so I hope to give some kick and make it interesting. I've also brought some things with me, so if you will sit tight and wait a bit, I will show these things. They're very interesting. So as I was presented, then the company Magnetic MRO, hopefully Estonian people have heard about it, but we have some foreign visitors as well. So Magnetic MRO is a maintenance repair organization. Our core business has been aircraft heavy maintenance, Boeing 737s and Airbus 320s. We also do line maintenance, engine management, and other services. We do, at the moment in Tallinn, heavy maintenance for 4 different lines. So we have 4 heavy maintenance lines. We employ approximately 300 people. 150 of them are technical workers. And we have bases in different countries. Tallinn is our main hub. Tallinn is where we do the heavy maintenance work. In London and Vilnius we have offices, and next year we are trying to step into Malaysia very aggressively, because the fleets there seems to be interesting enough to enter. So I will not stop long on the introduction. Here, this slide represents also our newer activities. The company, maybe things worth bringing out are aircraft teardowns. We all know that aircrafts are aging. There are more and more aircrafts flying around which need to be retired. We hope to see first aircraft soon also in Tallinn airport, which will be taken apart. It will be the final destination. And basically all the parts and the components which are still airworthy and can be certified, they will be entered back to the service. So this is shortly about the company. After this presentation I could talk more if anyone is interested. But let us jump into the main topic. So the main topic is technological advantages and innovations impacting MRO. There is lots of things going on now in aviation industry, and some of them are now splitted around here. Aircraft health monitoring, 3D, Google glasses, etc., etc. So in order to make it maybe more practical and interesting, I will concentrate on things that we are doing now in small Estonia and what we are already using now. So I have here 3D glasses. I have some 3D printed parts, at the moment plastics. There's also going to be metal soon. So during my presentation we're going to get there. Of course, very important thing before we talk about these innovations and having all these gadgets and 3D and printing, first and foremost, an MRO needs to have its basis right. And that is why to keep the people, the feet on the ground, we should always understand that you should have proper facilities, manpower and stuff. Only after that you can start thinking about all these gadgets. And what in a typical company like we are, or MRO, lean means? What are the things really you need to have right before we step into the gadgets? I've also brought up some pictures. Just when we stop here for a moment, we see from the left, we see an aircraft on a heavy maintenance facility. It seems very standard, typical MRO facility, but what makes it a little bit different is how universal it is. We have, for example, in the wall mounted 18 tons of steel construction aircraft tail dock, which is adjustable on different directions. And what it means for us is that for the next 10, 20, 30 years, we know that whatever aircrafts are coming, we most probably can facilitate them. So when we are talking about Dreamliners or the new Airbus Neo coming out, so this is also lean. This is a very important thing that has to be made right. Also, there is a funny picture having aircraft tail outside. Again, a very small thing, but it really gives this extra efficiency, and we can utilize our areas more efficiently, so we can position third aircraft into hangar in such way. You also see seats in the hangar on the same level with the aircraft entrance door. Again, what is so special there? But actually, if you do, we do almost 80 aircrafts, heavy maintenance annually. If you do 80 aircrafts, and at every aircraft C-check, you win hundreds of meters of sea transportation by having this kind of solution, then it is a very big advantage and really impacts very positively the turnaround time of the C-check. So the message is that we even see that the hangar design is part of the big picture, and it begins from a very, very low level, like the hangar design, how much people have to work in the facility, etc. So having told that, we can now jump into these more modern and interesting things happening now. Because in the next 10 years, robots will not replace people in aircraft maintenance. And it is a very labor-intensive work. So no matter how many IT systems, classes, or printing we have, the aircrafts will not fly if we don't have the manpower. So that is what I just wanted to state before we start talking about the new nice things. It's a boring slide, lots of text, but it's worth mentioning. IT, white picture. What is happening now in the IT, and we are also looking into it very seriously, is aircraft health monitoring and predictive maintenance. So what it means, predictive maintenance, as the word says, we know that something's going to fail before it actually fails. For example, we monitor the exhaust gas temperature on APU or engine. We see that there is a significant change, and we can say that in the next 1 month, an APU needs to be replaced. So we can already start planning the APU, buy it or rent it, train the technicians if needed, etc. Predictive maintenance is very complicated, and this is something that the OEMs are working on, aircraft manufacturers. I would say that an independent MRO probably will not jump into that. But what we will certainly have to do is aircraft health monitoring. What it means that some of you have maybe heard about the ACAR system as well. The aircraft is flying, and our technicians gets the message before the aircraft lands that what is happening, what are the issues on board, so that once the aircraft has landed, our technician is already waiting with the proper tools and spare parts. So we save a lot of time by doing that. These kind of systems or IT solutions are already available, and it concerns more line maintenance. So in the next 2 years, we hope to have this one in use, certainly. So next topic, 3D printing. As I said, to make it more interesting, I will talk about things what are actually happening now. And also our small company, I mean, globally speaking, we are small. We are also looking into 3D, because when we think about Estonia, we should have the cherry on the cake or something that brings the customers to Estonia. It is very difficult to attract them here. All these aircrafts that fly here to maintenance to our facility, they are normally not based in Tallinn. They are all here thanks to very good marketing and sales work. We have customers from Africa, Sweden, Norway, and mentioning some customers. So, for example, Thomas Cook, Austrian, Finnair, and also some local operators. SAS, Scandinavian Airlines, one of the biggest one at the moment. So by doing these things, we try to bring this cherry on the cake, as I said, and actually have something extra what customers would get an advantage. And what we have done so far in 3D printing, I also have brought myself a few things, few examples. Later you can see them closer. So I'll actually rise it up so later you can see. This is so we have at the moment successfully used 3D printing as on the tools, making tools. The next step obviously is to start making something actual, tangible that can be used on aircraft. So we started with tools, making tools. This is an Airbus 320 brake housing, and quite simple thing what we are doing now. It is we have to paint that thing, and the paint cannot go all into the areas where we have pistons and oil, etc. So this is a simple cover during the painting. Usually engineers are covering up with a tape, or they spend a lot of time by doing that. So this is a really simple solution. You just cover it up, cover all the holes, and you spray it. And the time winning is tremendous. And the more important thing is that by doing that, we have tested different printing methods, also stated here like FDM and SLS, selective laser sintering. We have found that the FDM method, which is the grandfather of 3D printing, this is not the most suitable for our purpose in aviation. But the SLS is very good. The white one is printed with SLS. You can later touch it. It's really good quality. When we think about aircraft seat plastics, then this is something which can replace the seat plastic. So by doing that, we have gained experience, and we are confident that when we're going to start doing parts for the aviation, this is the method we're going to use. So this is it. Then about metal. Not maybe all from you have heard that you can also print metals. So the same big part which I have here is a metal part. At the moment it is not made by 3D printing, but it is possible to do it with 3D printing. So we signed not long ago agreement with a company called Adera. It is led by a person, very experienced person who has been working for Pratt & Whitney for a long time. And he saw that the additive manufacturing in Pratt & Whitney or in a big organization is not moving fast. Therefore, he established his own company. And he has been very successful in 3D printing. And in the list, maybe what is worth bringing out is the last sentence. Our process works with aerospace alloys such as titanium and Inconel 718. What it means that we can start printing, or it's already being done, but not very widely, very high quality metals like the Inconel 718, and which is the major component or actually metal used in engines, for example. You also see a turbine picture there. This is not from aircraft, unfortunately, but it shows that it is possible to do it. There is also 3 columns with different methods. So those who maybe know more about 3D printing, then this is the selection of methods we have today access. And also in 2 weeks' time, we will have a very important meeting with an aircraft manufacturer. And the biggest problem with aircraft manufacturers they are big, and it's very difficult to move things fast. And they really welcome companies who would come proactively, and not just with a question that give us something to print, but who would go with an interest that we will help you to solve that problem and then print it. For example, Sukhoi Superjet or the Airbus has a problem of doing something in an old conventional way. We would step in and say, give us that part. We will do all the analysis and calculations and then do 3D printing for that. Of course, I'm not trying to take that this all is being done by Magnetic MRO. It's just the company, the partner we have, they are very strong on it. And our part of that game would be that we try to bring it more from States to also Europe. Because in USA, the 3D printing is really a step further than it is now in Europe. So this is shortly about 3D printing, and have some more items there in my luggage which are being done by 3D printing, so you can later touch them, try them. There is also a nice picture when a person is holding a powder. This powder is actually titanium powder used for printing. It's very nice. It feels like sand, but it's one of the strongest metal in the world. And also, what is the big advantage having an MRO company and printing specialists together is our company can certify the product. At the moment, of course, we are working on the design approval, but as you might guess then, a part in aviation without a certificate doesn't mean much. Even the bolt doesn't, you cannot fit it to aircraft if you don't have a proper certificate. So our part of that project also would be that if our 3D partner would develop something, we would try to add the aviation, make it legal for aviation. Also some pictures here, also being made by the same machines we have. It is as fabricated and after grinding. So the printing finish, the surface finish is always not the best. So it is also a big challenge how to make it the surface roughness as it should be, because if you don't do it, you lose the properties. So next topic, again, it's 3D, but it is not printing, it is imaging. Also have a 3D glasses here. Unfortunately, I don't have as many that I could share it to everybody, but I would give you some insights how it's being used today in the MRO industry and how we are doing it. I have a short video. The quality is not very good because it's presentation through this device. It's not the best, but the goal is, or how it usually is, that the computer must be good with a very good video card. It will be close to realistic, but the video itself is like it is. It's not maybe moving best properly. So just let's shortly look at it, and then I will give you some overview about it and what it means. So this program also is now our own developed. It's nothing very complicated. So what is being done here now is we change the aircraft seat covers, we change carpet design, we add maybe some advertisements to the overhead bins. So we can play, we can do different things in aircraft interior. And there is always a big question. It's nice to have these gadgets, but how you can earn money with them? So this is how we do it. It is a sales tool. We go to meet with the customer, and imagine you have 10, 20, 30 aircrafts, and you are thinking about changing the interior. You're thinking about changing the interior, and the biggest question always is that I'm showing to the customer materials, more template, and he says, yeah, it looks fine. But afterwards, when we make the seat cover ready, the total aircraft would look maybe disaster. You want to see the real picture, how the aircraft would look before you make the big change on your fleet. So this software we use by showing the customer how it would look like. If we go from red to green or green to blue, and by using the glasses, they can get close to real image, how it would look. Of course, some people get dizzy. It's very complicated to actually, you have to get used to it. But we are using it very successfully. Even 3 weeks ago, we had a session with our customer. The aircraft was in Tallinn in a C-check, an African customer, Air Peace, and they were thinking about going to leather or not. So by doing that, we really made the change. They went to the blue leather, and now they're changing the whole fleet by doing that. So this is one place where we are using 3D glasses today. Another thing, and maybe bigger benefit to the customer, is aircraft maintenance is a very expensive project. And with every aircraft, we have also customer representative in Tallinn. So they are basically sitting in Tallinn office, and every daily basis, they are checking what we are doing on the aircraft. It is a cost for customer to keep the representative in the office. Thomas Cook, for example, sent 3 people. They're a very high-quality company. They want to keep serious eye on us, so they had 3 people. But what could happen in the future is that we offer the customer solution. They pay us some amount, let's say X amount. It will be significantly lower amount that they spend today to send the engineers here. And we will generate them a 3D session of the maintenance. I need to add that those who don't know, then in Estonia we have 2 brothers who are behind the camera that James Cameron used in the famous movie Avatar. So in Estonia we have the technology. And by even bringing these cameras into use, we could put cameras around the aircraft that is being maintained in the hangar and create a session that customer in the London office can use these glasses and walk around in the hangar. We don't see the customer because he's virtually there. So it is being done in other industries in some areas. So it is nothing extraordinary. And so another problem, what if customer wants to see inside the aircraft? We have cameras around the aircraft. We have a serious defect in the aircraft and we want to show to the engineer, come and look inside. We have a problem with the seat tracks and seat frames. We need to replace the whole line. It is going to cost a lot of money for you. So they want to see it. For that, sorry, you don't have to concentrate on the text. For that, there is a gimbal camera. You see in the left upper corner, it's a device, a gyroscope style device. We have a camera in the middle, and the lenses of the camera become eyes of the engineer. So you position the gimbal inside the aircraft, and if the person moves the head, also the gimbal moves. So again, if I mentioned about having representatives in our facility, having 3 of them, it costs, I would say, 20,000-30,000 per project. If we would even charge a few thousand to the customer, he would be probably happy. So it's certainly something that will happen in the near future. We are really seriously looking into it, and maybe even in cooperation with our Estonian colleagues who have invented the 3D camera, we could come up to something. So again, I guess it's a very interesting thing, development. The next topic, RFID, radio frequency identification. Airbus and Boeing have already introduced this long time ago. They introduced it long time ago, but we see it now in the market on the new aircrafts. 787, the Dreamliner, Airbus 350 have a lot of RFID tagged parts. And what it means, imagine a technician going into the aircraft. He needs to make sure whether the life vests under the seat are still valid, not expired. Usually spend hours and hours to inspect every single life vest. You take it out from under the seat, check the tag, you spend hours. You have 300 seats, you have to inspect every 300 seats. So what Airbus and Boeing did now, and also Finnair has now the first ones flying, is the technician basically goes into the aircraft, they have a handheld device, they walk through the aisle, and it picks up the signal from the RFID tags, which are attached to the life vest. And by simply walking through the aisle, you will have a list of all the life vests, and it will note you that life vest under seat, I don't know, 9F, for example, is expired. Go and pick it up. So you go and pick it up. And also they are now putting these tags to the engines, so you don't have to open the engine cowl anymore and check what is the serial number and part number. You just walk around the aircraft and you collect all the data, and you will see what engines are installed, etc., etc. This is already there. It's already happening. So how we are using this technology? These small tags which you see, these are RFID tags. They are different size, very small ones, and they can store certain amount of information. We have this solution in a tool store. It is in our facility in Tallinn. So you see the gate in the left hand. You see person entering the gate. You have to register. You go through the gate. And once you go in, you can pick a tool. Every tool carries an RFID tag. And if now the person goes out from the same gate, the gate will pick up the signal what tools he picked. So what it gives us, is it just a showcase or is it really useful? It gives us two very important things. It gives us safety, because when the aircraft leaves our facility, we can make sure that there are no tools left in the hangar, that the system shows that the tools have been returned. And if some guy will say that, oh, I forgot the tool and I don't know where it is, then now we can go with a special device and search it. Maybe he left it under the seat. Worst case, he left it inside the engine. So we can pick up the signal and we know where the tool is. So it is really a great tool. And of course, the second advantage that system gives, it is efficiency. We have this system since 2012. Before that, we didn't have that system. So we had cases where we forgot a tool under the aircraft floor. It was a riveting tool, small. It wasn't anything dangerous, luckily, but it is still a safety issue, hazard. So since we have it, it has become so much more effective, because in the past, a person was giving tools out through a window and technicians were waiting in a queue. Now we can have 10, 20 guys same time in the room. And today we have 2 people taking care of all the tooling part we have. So 2 might seem for you a big number, but imagine we have 4 heavy maintenance lines, we have thousands of tools, and only 2 guys are taking care of that. So in the past we had to have 24/7 coverage, people had to be inside the tool store giving out the tools, someone had to go to the toilet, etc. So the return of that investment was a 40%. It paid off in 2.5 years. So it's really, really good things happening. So actually it's my last slide. So maybe to sum it up is that an independent company like we are, there are significant amount of nice new things happening. We have picked up those things where we see that there is something tangible and it can really bring also some benefit, either direct cash and revenue, or they are just efficiency and safety. So I certainly didn't cover all the new topics that are happening out around there, but I guess some very interesting ones. So if you have any questions, then feel free to ask. Thank you.
For the nice presentation.
Great.
And our next speaker is Üllar Salumäe, Estonian Air Navigation Services, and the topic is Civil-Military Cooperation, EANS and Ämari Airbase.
Hello. Good afternoon from my side as well. Before I start my presentation, I have a few announcements to make. I'm moving wrong direction in that. Kas ma tagasi peaks saama sellele kuidagi? Alumine nupp liigutab nagu edasi. Jah. Aga üks nupp ei tööta, teine nupp nagu liigutab vales suunas. Nii. Okay, maybe it will be corrected rather soon, but I have a few announcements to make. First thing is that I'm a quite experienced participant on these seminars already, so I know exactly how hard it is on the second day, especially in the morning session and after the lunch as well. So I'm trying to be quite brief in that sense and not dig into the technical details very much, and just to give a short overview about the project and what we have done in a general level. The second announcement is that I shouldn't even be standing here, actually, because myself, I played quite a tiny role in this project, quite an insignificant role in this project, but because that happened and I'm standing here right now, I have to say that the major players on these projects are among us in the crowd. So if I'm having problems with the questions later on, I can actually always direct them to the expert in this project. So the cooperation between EANS and Ämari Airbase, the project himself started some time ago. Don't go away. It started some time ago, and background is somehow in single European sky regulations that say that state responsibility has a responsibility to build up the environment that allows to facilitate all the customers and all the traffic in the air in the most efficient, safe and suitable way. And the background as well was development of Ämari airfield. 2008, roughly speaking, it was started, and they developed really fast all the ground equipment, navigational aid, services that are required for the airfield as well. And if our seminar topic is past, present and the future, then I have to share some experience from my past. At 2008, we started another big project. One of the results was presented by Jan Tam yesterday. We started a cooperation in the NEFAB. And 2008, we started the pre-feasibility phase of the project and started to investigate who are the major shareholders in that project. And I remember myself that I announced several times in different occasions that military aviation is not a very important shareholders in that context because, well, the limited number of aircraft they are flying in, not that airspace volume we're talking about in NEFAB, and oh boy, how wrong I was in that sense, if we're looking at today. So that my mistake at 2008 was maybe logical if we were looking a little bit about, a little bit of the numbers, how the traffic at Ämari Airbase have been developed since 2011 still, but I can assure that the numbers were equal at 2008 or even smaller. So the development of Ämari Airspace was somehow a logical step for Estonian Air Force, of course. And they did a really great job. They built up the airspace in a really modern way, but there was a gap in services. And in the modern airfield, you need to have air traffic services available as well for the customers. And that was a gap in Ämari. They did great in ground services, they did great in infrastructure and environment of the airfield, but they were missing proper amount of air traffic services to operate the airfield as it should be operated and in the most efficient way according to the customer needs. Ämari had tower services available by that time as well, but the tower services at Ämari missed one very important point, the airspace. They were using by that time a tiny airspace that was originally designed for the parachute dropping, and the airspace was one of the big issues or one of very important issues in that project as well, or when we started this project, because one air traffic service unit cannot operate without the proper airspace around it. So, and the other problem was, of course, the proximity of Tallinn airfield and Ämari airfield. It would be easier to build an airspace around, for example, Rapla airfield, where there are a lot of empty space and there are not very big airspace needed for the tower services. But distance between Tallinn and Ämari is, roughly speaking, 30 kilometers, maybe a little bit more. So two quite a big airfields, two quite a big in Estonian context, quite a big airfield, needs airspaces, and those airspaces are so close, it's not very easy task to solve. So we started the project, and in the very beginning of the project, we started to define what kind of services we need at Ämari. Tower services, yes, but as well, if the Air Force could foresee that the traffic at the Ämari airfield is going to grow, they needed as well the approach services, and again, because of the reason that, that those airfields are so close together, that was pretty clear since the very, very beginning that the approach services can be provided to Ämari airfield from the same unit as they are provided at the Tallinn airfield. Because otherwise it would make really, really complicated to cooperate between two approach units. And again, approach units need their airspace as well, and the airspace is really, really limited. So we decided that we are going to build the project in such a way that, that approach services for Ämari airfield will be provided by Estonian Air Navigation Services, and Ämari Airbase is taking care of the tower services. When the project started, like I said, it was 2013, we started the first project, and there was already quite a significant growth of the traffic. And by October 2015, you can see, not so big traffic numbers yet. People who maybe worked in aviation industry 30 years ago and more years ago may say that during the Soviet times the traffic was even more intense. And but in my eyes, the traffic numbers, total traffic numbers, are not so important here, but the importance is the growth, how fast they are really growing. And in this year already, when the project was launched late April, we can actually see and calculate somehow the benefits of the project as well. So, stop here. No, it's not stopping. So we started at 2013, as it was said, we started with some kickoff meetings for the, and the objective was, first thing, to develop the proper approach services for the Ämari airfield. We needed more airspace around it, so one of the project kind of activities was to enlarge the Tallinn TMA to facilitate the Ämari procedures in there as well, so that's why we took away some airspace from Kärdla. They were not very happy in the beginning, but that was really necessary to provide the services in both airfields in Ämari and Tallinn. And we redesigned totally of Tallinn TMA in that sense. We made it bigger, and we created the possibility to open two sectors in Tallinn airfield in case of the situation when the approach controller need to vector just to reduce the workload of the controller in that situations. There were a lot of different activities, and there were a lot of people involved in this project since the very beginnings, at the same time towards the Ämari and towards the Tallinn as well, just to reduce the workload of the controller in that situations. There were a lot of different activities, and there were a lot of people involved in this project since the very beginning. There are a few milestones when what we really did and what we really started, and we started from the carte blanche basically. We had no experience previously while doing that. We were nobody to ask for this experience, for at least in Estonia, because nobody during the 1992, nobody ever sort of opened a new position, a new sector, a new service from nothing. So we started basically from the white paper and started to develop by using all the expertise and some procedures, how those two airfields can be operate simultaneously. We need to train all the staff, all the operational staff, and not only trained, but we need to get them a license to work at the Ämari approach unit. We need to do a lot of investment to the technical matters as well, so on both sides the technical people will heavily involved. We need to solve the legal issues. One thing is to sign the contracts about how things can and must be done. The other thing is actually how to justify in front of the CAA the opening of new sectors and new certificates of the controllers, etc. We had to do all the publishing, of course, to the AIP, to prepare all those materials, and a lot of safety expertise and a lot of safety assessments were done during this project. In total, together, 8 different risk assessments were done just to minimize absolutely every possible risk in that project. Implementation was taking place this year on 30th of April. We started operations as well in a new airspace and started to provide the services to the post airfields on our side. And we started at the same day the post-implementation period as well, just to observe what is really happening, what is really going on. Is everything that we have planned and designed is really working and is safe enough to provide the services in such a way. As an additional side project, we added the other activities into this work. We had beforehand a lot of comments and requirements from our customers that the separation minimums that we're currently using in Tallinn TMA are not giving enough capacity to the airspace and are a little bit too limiting for the controllers. So we did a change in that matter as well and implemented in Tallinn 3 nautical miles horizontal separation minimum during the same project. It helped us a little bit with the traffic adjustments to the both airfields as well, but on the other hand, it helped us a little bit in the safety matters as well, because a lot of our safety occurrence reported were related to the TMA before that, and they were related to the separation minimum infringement between 4.5 to 5 miles. So it was just a small mistakes, but the problem was that the capacity demand was higher than we could actually provide with the 5 miles separation. And actually, as a matter of fact, it helped us a lot because after that implementation, no such safety occurrences have been reported. So during the half a year, we have had a really good results on this side project as well. Let me try to push just once. Okay, some facts and figures in the meantime, just to show how many people from EANS were actually involved and how much we had to use the resources. The project altogether took 19 months of active preparation, training, and different activities time. Almost all of the EANS departments were involved somehow. Some of them more, some of them less. Approximately 15,000 working hours were spent during this project. And if we're looking for the employer that were involved, if we're adding the ATCO numbers as well, and if we're adding the people from the ministry, from the CAA, from the military side, of course, we will get that there are definitely more than 100 people were involved in this project during these 19 months. Everybody was doing their part, and by the end of the day, we were really successful on that. So implementation, as I mentioned, already took place on 13th of April this year at 0001 UTC. We started to provide services at Ämari, approach services at Ämari as well. Of course, before that, we checked everything one more time to be absolutely sure that all the system procedures are working. And we consider that this, well, based on the results of the post-implementation monitoring we basically just finished a few weeks ago, we can consider that the project was successful and no safety-related occurrences or any inconsistencies were noticed during this post-monitoring period. So some important things we learned from this project. First thing is that if in the beginning, 19 months ago, more than 19 months ago, a lot of things seemed actually impossible. So the impossible things can be made possible when you are believing yourself, when you are believing your partners, and when you cooperate and communicate with each other. And that gives us a little bit confidence to look together for the next challenges in front of us. So if anybody had a new project or new air traffic control position to be opened, we can consult you. We know how to do that. And as I said, the real experts are among us, so we put a little picture of the project team downstairs. You can really recognize them in the audience, so you could ask detailed questions and not ask from me afterwards. So, and I have just a few more slides to show, just a little bit remarks or statements from the parties involved, just to show how successfully they saw the results of the project and how successfully they saw the project himself. One thing for sure that is a positive side effect from that project is I can look at from our side, is that during this project and during this cooperation we talked a lot and we clarified a lot of positions that were not clear before that between the military aviation and civil aviation on our behalf. So in the moment I would say that we know and understand each other much better. In the beginning there were a lot of conflict, a lot of kind of bottom line arguments that this is the argument, this must be done and we cannot do it any other way, and they were actually colliding to each other. So 19 months later the team was working really great together and the team was looking for the solution there, and we created, for at least in our option, much more knowledge about the requirements of the military aviation as such, because this is for us present, past, and definitely the future. We need to know what is going on the military aviation field, and as military aviation have not been developed for a long time, most of our controllers, for example, doesn't have enough knowledge about the requirements, needs, possibilities in military aircraft. So just a few more sentences and few more kind of lines that putting together, and basically that's the end of my presentation. If you have a question, please.
Thank you, Üllar. And again, what I see from yesterday's presentations and today's presentation is that success is directly related with the cooperation. Thank you, Üllar. And our next speaker will be Markku Roschier from Airline Management Technologies, and he's going to speak about Finnish UAV Test Center.
Yep, this works. Hello from Finland again. So you have had presentations from Finland, and now we are changing the subject to an issue that is not very typical in this aviation world. So, unmanned aviation, why a center? What is the reason to that? Let's go like 3-4 years earlier time when we saw that Air Finland went bankrupt. Finnair started to kick out the first people, and we saw that the Finnish aviation will change dramatically. And actually today, if we go through what has happened, there has been also other not that nice news. Blue One is gone. There was a priority air maintenance, having a maintenance station almost 1 year. It's going to be also outside from Finland. So the question was that what we could have in Finland instead of these old kind of things. And we had a project where we go through airport technologies. We went through MRO business, and we went through the spare parts or manufacturing issues. and we didn't get any good results. So we decided to meet again, and then the unmanned business came out. And for me, I see that this kind of testing thing could fit for me, and that's the reason I decided that yes, I can do that. So so actually this way. So I established a company to make it easy. The ownership will change in the future, but just to get things started, I established a company that could run the test center, and I saw that the experience that I have from remote sensing and other science activities, aviation, and so on could be a good base for that. Because what we have seen the discussions, the unmanned business is like inventing the aviation again. So it's pretty much same like when we saw those ultralight aircraft coming in the market, that we saw those little funny things trying to work properly. We were seeing new pilots trying to fly them, and it's like in the early days, so inventing the aviation again. So this is this is again the same thing. So people have a lot of thoughts, and typically the people are outside aviation, so they don't understand that how these things are actually working in the real life. So to operate like any drone or unmanned aircraft needs some kind of aviation background. So actually this kind of a test center could be a place where these unmanned operators can meet, they can learn, and they can test their equipment. So actually doing the aviation development work. Somebody might ask that, do we have already everything? And actually we have. People has operated this kind of vehicles already many years, and you know that the US military are operating in Iraq with several drones. So actually we have already the technology there. We have flown to moon, we have flown to Mars, we have done a lot of things that are done remote controlled. So actually we have the technology. But now we have moved to face that the price tag is coming down. So now it's time to go in the public market. And the funny thing is that the expectations are very high. So they are talking about so huge numbers in the business-wise that it will change the world during the next 5-10 years. And there are forecasts that maybe in 5-10 years there might be 10,000 drones in 10 square kilometers. So everybody might have a drone, and that's a challenging situation, that how we are operating them. How about the radio frequencies? How about the neighbor's drone and my drone and the other neighbor's drone? How we are operating them in the way that they are not going down, because I want to see what neighbor is doing, and I want to see what the other neighbor is doing, and they might be not so happy with that. Actually, in the American market, this kind of situation has been recognized, and some of my friends received already some marketing letters about those ammunition, that how to shoot the drone down. So that's already going on there. And actually we know that certain kind of air impulse, like a very high sound, could make the gyroscope in the unstable situation, and then the drone is going down. So that is already happening. So we have a lot of things like the privacy. We have a lot of things about the electronic systems that we have there, that how we can say that they are working in the proper way, in the way that we can let them fly there. And like our authority has said to us that they would like to have a place that they can show the customer coming to CAA and applying certain kind of operation. At the moment, everybody is doing that on the backyard or some open place, but when they want to do that in commercial way, the regulation will slowly come there, and then the authority would like to have a possibility to expect that the operator has some evidence that how they are managing the operation and how they can show that the equipment is reliable, and then they can say that please go there and run the drone like 100,000 times along the runway, and after that come again. So because many of those drones are self-made, you can buy the necessary parts from the internet, and then you can put them down on the table, and then you are connecting them, and then you have a drone. So that's again a reliability thing. Then the question is that why Mikkeli? You know that there is 2 airports in Finland that are currently privately owned, and Mikkeli is the other one. So that makes us more easy to start to change the infrastructure and also to operate at the airport. And the second thing is that there is no regular flights, so we have more time. And the third thing is that there are a lot of free airspace. And the second thing is that then we could have the same thing in other airports, later agreed with Finavia, who is controlling the airports in Finland. So here we see that Salo-Kiikala is the second airport in our minds. We are having the discussion going on. Mikkeli is now open. We opened that yesterday. That does not mean that we have a lot of things there. We have just said that yes, now we are open. There were some other things that forced us to do that this year, not next year. So now the investment starts. So what we can do actually many things, and the main point is that we are the connecting point for scientists, researchers, people that want to learn more, to train themselves, maybe networking. Of course, like in every aviation area, we are talking also 3D printing, manufacturing, and of course consultation. So we are trying to connect all the unmanned operators together, because at the moment everybody is in the way that I want to be here in my corner and I will not tell you what I'm going to do, because it's very sensitive at the moment. So we are trying to get them together. And then we are also thinking that there are a lot of people that are developing instruments by their own resources, and they don't have a drone, but they would like to extend the activity to the drone area. So we can have the drone, and the engineer can come here, and then we can put it in, and then we can test, and then the engineer knows that does it work or not. So we are trying to provide the resources to this business. There is a list of items that we can do. Today, if somebody wants to operate a drone higher than 150 meters, they have to apply that 10 weeks before, and then they get an area that is notified through the systems to all other pilots and operators. The main point is that we can have a permanent airspace that we can take in use by phone call. Like we have in the glider competition during the summertime, we have a certain area that has been published to everybody, and we can take them in use like that the day before the planned action. We will call that we will have this and this area and this altitude and this time period, and next time we will just confirm that yes, we will use that. So that makes the industry to develop their technology much more faster, because they can come to the test center anytime and they just say that I want to fly tomorrow. Of course, offices, other infrastructure, there is a plan that we could have different kind of areas, that we have water, sand, wood, concrete, electric cables that they can try to analyze or try to find via their instruments. So that makes also more easier, again, the operators to develop the business. Then the second area is that if we are thinking that we have the 10,000 drones in the very small area, then we have to test that how the navigation, maybe precision navigation works, how they are interacting together, how the drone knows that there is a second drone in the 2-meter distance, how the autopilots are working more properly. Of course, it's again that the technology is already there, but the big problem is that most of the drones are at the moment working by batteries, and the batteries are not that good at the moment. And we have the same problems like in aviation. Every unnecessary kilo should be removed. So it's like a compromising that how much instruments, how big battery you have. And the battery means the endurance, the flying time, distance. Then we are talking also the flight management systems. If we are talking a little bit bigger aircraft, the main business will be in the operation that will take place beyond visual line of sight. So the main business that you can see now, that you have a drone flying there in 100-200 meter, that's not actually the business. The business comes when you can go over 5-10 kilometer distance. And there you need all the things that you have actually already in the current aircraft, but now smaller size. And then it comes that, okay, we have that kind of aircraft, how that aircraft can operate among the manned aircraft. And in that case, how they are working together and how they can approach an airport. So again, there is a plan to have a drone way. We have an airway for aircraft, so we should have a drone way maybe next year between 2 airports or 2 airfields. And then we can start to operate between 2 airports in a way that the future plan for example, cargo business could start. If we can show that this is working reliable way, and we know how to operate and what kind of a risk assessment we have to make to operate. So maybe then the CAA says that yes, this company can start the cargo operations. The test center is not going to be an operator, but the experience, the latest discussions show that, yeah, we might be forced to be an operator also, because otherwise, yeah, maybe it's easier to develop the system in the way that we are also an operator, but let's see. People that has worked with remote sensing understand that a lot of information is in other wavelengths than the normal light. So we have to go different wavelengths. That needs special equipment and special programs to analyze the data that is collected. How the data is transferred to the ground. All things are already existing, but putting that in the drone is the big question. So this is trying to explain that what is our role. So we have a lot of items around, and the customer is on the left side, and we are guiding the customer to the right side. So we are trying to provide the solution. We are trying to help the customer to find the right way to make business. So we are also expecting that we will have some technical innovations. These are companies that are under discussion. We have visited Denmark. Actually, we have also a visitor from North Dakota a couple of weeks ago. Vaisala is a very famous company doing equipment for weather analyzing. So they are also planning to have a system that when we have a storm going over Finland, so because storm is a thing that make also damages, so they would like to know what kind of storm, how fast that is going through Finland. So they would like to have drones on the coastline and on the countryside in a way that they can make a short analyzing that how the weather is changing. Vincit is a software. Sweco is constructing company. Air Intelligence is a drone operator. Several universities. Gasum is interested to about the security things. So just an example, and again, like how the governmental operations and the private operations are different. We are doing the same thing that the Danish have done in 3 years. We are doing in 6 months, and they have like 6 full-time people, and we have 3 part-time. So the private operation is much more faster. The training is nobody is requiring any training. But the challenge is that because our authority is very liberal, the regulation is actually saying not too much, but they are saying that we cannot fly close to airports. So how the guy who has bought the drone from a local shop understands that where she can fly the drone. So we have decided that we have to start to provide the training that explains to the young or older guy that what are the basic things. So we are planning to have like a 4-hour training about aviation law, something about airport, something about flight planning and weather, because we see that these are the elements that the guys should know. And then when we are going to commercial operations, then we should have more and more information to the pilots, and actually if we go over 25 kilo, we are pretty close to the normal pilot training. But not at the moment, there's no requirement, and I think that the Czech authorities is requiring certain kind of training. But each country has a different way to handle these things. We are planning to have a skill test. We are planning to have a possibility to practice the skills. We might have some competitions in a way that you can test your skills. The main thing that we are providing the information, and that's also the Finnish Aviation Authority's approach, that if we are doing right thing and we are taking care of the people's responsibility, understanding, so then they don't need to regulate. So if we are doing the right thing, we have the possibilities very, very wide open. 3D print, yeah, consultations, yeah. So we are now opening the door. And I can see that we have a possibility to cooperate, for example, with you concerning the training. if we are talking about remote towers or at least that kind of thing. So they would need also training how to detect the drones, how they are operating. So I think that there are a lot of cooperation possibilities. So maybe I will leave you in peace. My part is here. Thank you.
Thank you, Markku. And if there are any questions, then please ask them. And there are.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is about risk assessment. And do you have assessed any risks associated with UAV operations to flight operations? And how do you assess them? And are you willing to share these results if these assessments have been carried out? Thank you.
The assessment thing is again like, you know how the authority put the birds. The operator should understand that what are the risks, and then the operator should show that how they are minimizing the risk, that what are the actions. So it goes to the operator. And that's again the challenge that we have operators that don't understand that how the aviation is working. So we are trying to develop like a short guidelines, what are the main risks and how to minimize them. And then of course more bigger drone, more operations you have, then the risk situation is of course changing. But we are trying to help the newcomers to the aviation thinking.
Okay, thank you. But are you willing to share these risk assessment results with other people in aviation?
Yeah, that's possible, but we don't have that yet.
Okay, thank you.
But you can understand that losing the radio contact to the drone is one. Losing the battery power is the second one. Depending the weather, there's one item that how the weather is affecting to the drone operating. Maybe the wind will take the drone and it goes to the place that it should not go, and how to affect to that.
Okay, as I understand correctly, Markku, the Finland US center is operating so that there is a reserved airspace for these operations, and all the people who want to test their aircraft, UAV, Airbase, however you call it, they can call you and test it there without a problem, so that this is an airspace dedicated for this testing.
Yeah, that's the purpose. The procedures are still going on with the authority, but we have a general understanding how we will operate. It needs also opinion from other airspace users, so we are waiting for that at the moment, but I'm sure that in the beginning of next year this is fully operational.
Thank you. And now I will give word to our moderator, Ansaaver.
One announcement, the organizers would appreciate if you fill out the feedback form. The form in English is outside in the lobby on the table, you can find it there. Eestikeelsed feedbackid, tagasiside vormid on toolide peal, te võitegi sinna jätta, võite ka viia välja laua peale, kus on kastikene nende jaoks. Aitäh! And now again, Rector Jaanus Jakimenko, please.
So now I would like to thank you all for being us with these 2 days. I hope it was interesting. And as Ants said, there will be next seminar after 1 year, and if you want something different, something more interesting, let us know. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you.